Hello everyone and welcome to this video, which is in our Great Engine Game series. I'm Grandmaster Matthew Sadler and we're looking at the game between rofChade and Ethereal. TCEC Season 22 League 1, the game that sealed rofChade's victory in League 1 and promoted it to Division P. We start off with 1 e4, d6, d4, knight f6, knight c3, c6, f4, queen a5. This was a line that got quite popular in the late 80s, early 90s in human play. It's got a few unusual points to it, but actually, once the immediate tactics get worked out, you basically realise that it's kind of just a waste of time, because the queen will simply have to retreat from a5 at a certain moment, and yeah, black will just have wasted a tempo. White plays bishop d3 there to protect the pawn on e4. e5 played, that's one of the ideas of black's line, just supporting e5 with the queen on a5. But simply knight to f3, knight d7, castles, bishop e7, bishop e3 and castles. And essentially we have a bit of a Philidor sort of structure, but where white has already played the move f4, which is obviously going to be pretty aggressive. It's going to make it, I mean, first of all, we've got a lot more pressure on the black centre, and also there's going to be, you know, a very easy kingside attack coming in. So rofChade's next move is a very good one, actually. h3, stopping knight g4, and also, as you'll see, preparing the move g4 as well. White's got a lot more space, and you know, engines are really strong, modern engines, at grabbing space and making the most of it. Yeah, this is actually quite scary for black. Black played queen c7, that's retreating the queen, so still protecting e5, and preparing for some sort of counterplay. I mean, b5 to b4, rook e8, bishop f8, you know, standard Philidor, old Indian kind of moves. But it is obviously quite slow, and in the meantime white might well have got the kingside attack going. Now white can play in two ways. You know, white can play the move a4 here just to stop b5, and then after b6 to play g4. And yeah, this was how Stockfish was playing against Koivisto in my engine matches, and generally doing quite well, although Koivisto managed to hold a few draws, which I was very impressed with. Stockfish played a quite incredible game. It's too long to show you now, but one day I'll come back to it, because there was some positional judgment in there that, well, actually that I still don't understand, so I've got to do a little bit of work on that. rofChade played queen e1, and that's a very reasonable move as well. After b5 you play a3. You know, it's just yeah, I mean, it swings and roundabouts. I mean, this gains more space for black, frees a little bit more space for the pieces. For example, a knight could come to b6 sometime, maybe. On the other hand, this pawn is more exposed, so it could very easily drop off if black plays a move like c6 to c5. And here Ethereal played the move knight h5, which I think already shows a little bit of desperation about what is coming on the king side, namely g4, g5 and f5, and you know, black's really trying to somehow gain a foothold on the king side there. It's Stockfish in my games with black was playing a5 and queen f2, knight h5 afterwards, so trying the same sort of idea. I didn't really understand why f5 wasn't very powerful as well in this position. Certainly when I made my engines play it, they seemed to be getting pretty good results with it. So yeah, not really clear, but I'm assuming that that a5 is not such a bad move. At the very least, you know, you're preparing bishop b7 and then b4 again, just to try and disrupt white a little bit in the center. But Ethereal played knight h5, f5, h6. So trying to stop white from playing g4 to g5 quickly. You know, it's yeah, really these feel like very artificial moves. But to be honest, it was pretty much also what Stockfish was doing when it was defending in this position. So I mean, I think it's kind of we're past artificial and already and normal, and we're just saying what is tactically required in order to survive. And well, this move h6 is quite useful. After g4, black plays this interesting in-between move, e takes d4, and after bishop d4 plays knight f4. If you'd gone knight takes d4, I would have gone knight f6, and yeah, I mean, this pawn on h6 prevents the immediate g4 to g5, so you know, gives you at least some sort of stability on the king side, although it still looks very, very dangerous to for black to me. So, but bishop d4 was played. This was really the choice of all my engines. Knight f4, queen g3, and now d5 from Ethereal. Ooh, game's just finished there. Sounds like a draw. Yeah, holding the knight on f4, preparing to play a move like bishop d6. So white plays e5 here. Knight takes d3, c takes d3. And this looks incredibly scary, really. You know, I mean, obviously pawns on e5 and f5, huge king-sided space advantage for white. Yeah, these pawns are actually weak, so you can't play c5 because of knight takes d5. And, well, very soon, you know, we're going to get a rook on c1, and this queen on c7 is going to be in trouble. So it looks absolutely awful for black. But Ethereal defended very, very well here because, you know, there's always, I mean, the key thing is, you know, you can have a big space advantage, but do you have a way to kind of break that wall of pawns cascading towards you? And, yeah, Ethereal does. It has this move f6. And the, you know, the simple point is, of course, that e takes f6 allows queen takes g3 check. So black is going to be able to take the pawn on e5, and, well, at least there won't be two central pawns coming through the board. It's not great, but, you know, it's not, it's still vaguely survivable. So rook c1 played, setting up this threat. Ethereal had to retreat the queen back to b8. These are moves that always make you very nervous as black. You know, you're trying to counterattack and you're having to make passive moves like this. But okay, you know, it's you can't do much else about it. Oops, good lord. Knight e2 was played, and now f takes e5. And this is a very interesting moment because actually both Quivisto and Berserk actually were choosing probably a poor move in this position, and they chose it continually actually in all the games that I played, which is quite surprising here. They all wanted to play knight takes e5, which I'll grant you is the most natural and definitely the one I looked at first. After bishop d6 takes, queen queen e3. So you're just basically aiming to go knight f4 here, you know, with you've got a grip on c5. It looks very, very strong, but Stockfish was actually coming up with an absolutely amazing idea here, which was to play the move bishop takes f5, takes and rook takes. And already Stockfish was at 0-0-0, which is, you know, always both frightening and impressive. And yeah, somehow, you know, yeah, white's king is very, very weak here, and yeah, just hard really for white to really create dangerous threats against the black king. And well, this was you know, quite a typical game actually. Both Berserk and Quivisto played exactly in this way. Knight f3, rook e3, king f2, rook takes d3, queen g4, queen f7 takes, h5, queen g3, rook b3. And well, we're getting you know, we're going to get a check on b2. White can defend with rook c2, but then you're quite passive. You know, it's still better for white, but Stockfish was defending all of these. You know, do note this technique of defending, which is to give white a knight as an extra minor piece and then get lots of pawns. You know, the knights are very short range pieces. I mean, if you had a bishop, you could put it on a square like d4 or c3 and it exerts massive influence on the king side. But you know, a knight doesn't. So it's very easy to get you know, a position with white with a passive knight, extra knight against pawns, and it leads to a draw. And well, very standard technique in engine games, and there's a whole chapter on that in the Silicon Road to Chess Improvement, which is my new book. So knight takes e5, not a good move, but rofChade played a very good move actually, and but it's the sort of move that when I saw it, you know, I said, oh, what, bishop pair? Why are we giving that up? But actually, you know, obviously there's a tactical reason for it, and also this knight is incredibly strong on e5. So for example, if you go bishop f6, I go d4, and completely entrenched, c6 is weak, and I am just going to come in with knight f4 into g6. You know, this knight is really, really strong. So actually, Ethereal played pretty well here again. Again, you know, Ethereal's trying to stop white from establishing control in the centre, stop white from entrenching its pieces in the centre, and played the move bishop h4. So just knocking the queen away and getting the knight away. And we're hitting b2 and the knight on e2 as well. Now, potentially, black's got a really awful position here. You know, if white can defend all its bits and clamp down on this pawn, maybe playing d4 or b4, and then get a knight in somewhere, maybe to g6, for example, is just horrible for black. You know, these pawns, in particular on h3, g4, f5, they really restrict the light square bishop, which is also restricted by black's light squared pawns. So, I mean, there's really a huge potential for black to have absolutely no counterplay at all. But black's keeping itself alive just with threats, and the queen's doing all the threatening. b2 and e2. Rook c2 played queen e3 check, attacking the king, also attacking the pawn on d3. Rook to f2. And here I thought that Ethereal played a fantastic move. Yeah, I mean, Koivisto played it a few times. It also played the move bishop d7 a few times, which did not work out well. Queen g3, rook e8, king g2, takes, rook e1, d4. You know, and we just end up in some sort of ending like this, where this minor piece is really terrible, restricted both by white's pawns and its own. You know, gorgeous square on c5, terrible pawn on c6, kingside majority to advance. Stockfish was winning every single one of these games, and yeah, to be honest, you know, even if I was playing against Koivisto, I would expect to make some progress as white. So, but b4 is an absolutely lovely move from Ethereal. You know, the idea is that black is doing everything in its power to stop white from establishing a grip. I mean, obviously, a takes b4 is not establishing a grip. That pawn will get attacked. We'll take it, and then we'll have a pawn on b2 to attack. If you allow black to play b takes a3, as in this game, then, well, you know, we've got weak pawns to aim for and also a b file to exploit it. I think b4 was a very good move, and to be honest, I expected Ethereal, once it found this move, to hold this game. But yeah, rofChade just kept on going, and well, found Ethereal didn't manage to keep on finding the most accurate moves. So queen g3 was played, swapping off the queens, takes, bishop d7 just to defend the pawn. Knight h5, we're getting into to our outposts. Note that when the knight comes to g6, the black king starts to become in a little bit of danger, and obviously from g6 as well, you can also aim to this great square e5 with this lovely zigzag maneuver from the knight. So rook b8, rook fe2, threatening rook e7, king f7, and now knight f4, rook e8, rook b2, and yeah, I mean, Stockfish diverged a little bit earlier, but still at this point, Ethereal is still holding it. It's worse for black, but Ethereal is holding it. But here, Ethereal made a strange mistake in a way. You would have thought that an engine that calculates as well as Ethereal wouldn't make this mistake. The key point was, and you're going to see why, is to play the move a5. And actually, the only point of this is to get the pawn off the 7th rank, so that when white invades on the 7th rank, the next step is not to take a pawn on a7. There's no pawn there. And that makes such a difference for the ending that black is going to play. And, well, we're going to see exactly why. Because Ethereal played rook b5, which is, you know, kind of a solid little move. You know, just... yeah, just essentially daring white to you know, exchange off all the rooks, which probably white shouldn't do. But instead, white just played the move rook takes c8, king takes c8, rook e2 check, king f7, knight g6. So the yeah. Rook e7 is threatened, knight e5 is threatened. It's actually very unpleasant for black all of a sudden. So king f6 played, rook e7, and here Ethereal took on f5. Now, you know, this is actually, obviously, another example of the defensive technique that we mentioned. You know, just go for a rook and knight against rook and pawns, and you know, trust the fact that the knight's a short-legged minor piece. Trust that that will give you counterplay. Only the problem in this position is that after knight check there, white's got rook takes a7, and white gains this pass pawn on the queen side. Just imagine if we'd had the same position, but with a pawn on a5, which we could have done if we played the move a5 here. And the whole ending just looks, you know, an awful lot different, basically. Rook b5, takes, rook e2. We can even play c5 here, knight g6. Rook b1 check, bishop a4. This was Koivisto. He was even escaping. He wasn't even sacrificing his bishop here. But there's another line here. King f2, takes. Rook b3, knight g6, king f6, rook e7, and here we are. You know, we've got the same type of position, but our pawn on a5 is safe. No passed pawns on both sides for white, and we're also attacking a3 and d3. You know, just playing this move a5, I think that would have saved Ethereal's bacon there. However, Ethereal didn't do that. And well, we reached this position, and after knight check king f6, we got rook takes a7. And yeah, this is still quite a tricky game to win. I mean, I would be pleased with my technique, I think, as white, if I, you know, put this away completely cleanly. But it is actually a win. Rook h7, rook takes h6, rook h8. The funny thing is here is that yeah, we can just sort of play very quietly and essentially just aim to pick up this g5 pawn and then move the h pawn on. That's just the idea. And these passed pawns, funnily enough, are not that dangerous. Rook f7, rook f6, knight f3. We're coming now to go rook f5. We're going to be hitting everything that's black that black has got. Rook a2, king g3, c4, rook f5, rook a5, h4, king g6, rook g5, king f6, rook g8, and actually the black pawns couldn't even advance properly, and yeah, this h pawn is running all the way. So a really nice game from rofChade. I really thought, I mean, it's you just sort of feel it's played basically pretty faultlessly all the way through. I mean, I thought Ethereal defended very well. Knight h5, odd move really, and h6 too. You know, looking at it, I was getting a rather queasy expression on my face. But actually, you know, the ending, the position it escaped to, was very difficult. But probably still within the realms of holding, you know. And this move b4 was also very good, but just that one mistake with rook b5, and rofChade pounced on it. And well, I mean, basically, you can't point to a single mistake. You can't point even to a single really inaccuracy from rofChade in the whole game. It just basically played brilliantly all the way through. So well done, rofChade. Hard luck, Ethereal. Although well done for a really fantastic second lot of the tournament. Because yeah, I mean, after a very difficult first half, it stormed back in the second half. Might even have got close to qualifying with a bit more luck. And yeah, well, probably the last game that I'll look at from League One. Now it's Division P. Komodo and Leela careering ahead. So yeah, lots to look forward to. So thanks very much. If you like the video, why not give it a like or subscribe to the channel. Take a look at my new book, The Silicon Road to Chess Improvement. And otherwise, hope to see you for the next video. Some thrilling games in Division P.